Oh, welcome again. I have Fort Christmas behind me, which is only appropriate because we're in Christmas season. Actually, today's December 27th, so a couple days after I wanted to get this recorded earlier, uh, but it got very busy during the holidays. And this would be considered as a fortress. It's actually a fortified settlers cabin, and it's one of the sites on the Seminole War Heritage Trail that I'm going to eventually hopefully get around to doing all the Florida Heritage Trail sites on the vlog here. So this is in MacClenny, Florida. And way in the background, you can see the Burnsed cabin. Oh, let me do a screen share so you can really see it. Okay, here we go. Now we're here. This is the Burnsed cabin near MacClenny, Florida. It's a heritage park in MacClenny, and what that is that some towns have where they take some of the old buildings and put them together in a park. You may have been to Westville near Columbus, Georgia, or Dade City has the Pioneer Florida Park, and not to be confused where Bardstown has the Florida Pioneer Park. Don't, or there's the Manatee settlement in Bradenton. I think that's what they call it. And Pensacola also has kind of a heritage village downtown or old city. Uh, so anyway, this is Heritage Park, and you see way in the background there's a log cabin called the Burnsed Blockhouse. And going over as you enter the park, off to the left, you'll see a veteran circle. One of the benches is dedicated to the man who built it, James Burnsed. Said he built the Burnsed Blockhouse in the 1830's. This is Baker County. He was one of the early settlers of the area. So, there's still people, Burnsed's and descendants in the area today. Heritage Park, it's a neat place to walk around and look at. And here's the old jail, for example. And they have like a storefront. And one thing cool is that they have some really good interpretive panels that you can read about the pioneer or settlers in the area. Some before the Civil War, most of them after. Kind of interesting, Baker County, one of the smaller counties in Florida, the main industries, um, uh, pine, uh, lumber, and turpentine. Here's a turpentine still. Since, of course, they're doing some Christmas celebrations, so there's Christmas decorations all over the park. So hey, it's the season. So anyway, here's the Burnsed Blockhouse. This is actually the rear of the building. I guess that's the kitchen in the back. They rebuilt one of the chimneys. So it looks like a stucco type chimney, but very nicely done 2-story cabin. Originally had a dog trot through the middle, but notice that they can close up the sides and the shutter is really good. It's a shingled roof, really a nice cabin. James Burns did a lot of good work back then. And so then you see on the porch, but anyway, there's a plaque here, Burnsed Blockhouse. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It says he also made Fort Pontiac, which uh, there's a kind of a disagreement on that because usually the settlers would build the cabins and the army would build the forts. Fort Pontiac, most records I've seen said that Captain Thomas Morris of the 2nd Infantry built it. And I'd really like to see the source. On the side, of course, another plaque built by James Burnsed in the Taylor area. Taylor's an unincorporated area. And here's kind of what I want to point out on the cabin. On the side here, you see next to the chimney, but there's actually portholes to put a musket or a rifle through. A very small hole there. Not sure how you can see unless you're right up to the hole, or maybe just fire out there. Not sure, quite sure how it worked. And I guess they're in prone position firing from that. That's on one side of the chimney, and here it is on their side of the chimney. I didn't get to go inside, but so I didn't really see it, but you could see the kind of the dovetail construction on the side. I always like to look at the construction of some of these old cabins. Of course, in Heritage Park, I also enjoy seeing some of their things like the old Sinclair gas pump at the Davis Gas Company. So you old service station, Rexall drugs. That's pretty neat. In Old City Hall, I'm not sure if that's MacClenny City Hall, even has the fire truck in there. So that was a short visit, but it was a cool stop, and I'd wanted to see this place for years. We read about several accounts of the settlers having these fortified cabins, and this is the best example of one that still survives. The people who own the structure, they actually built a house around it. And so when it was discovered, I think maybe in the 70s, they, uh, had to, I guess, remove some of the more modern structure until the cabin underneath, and it was moved to the park here back around 2000. So that's something pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed hope you enjoyed seeing an example of one of the few remaining 1830s cabins. That's a fortified settlers cabin, which you also might consider it a fortress locally made by the people. And that's it for now.